I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when they watch stories like this is assuming the argument is about the verdict. It's not. The verdict is already over. The jury spoke. The sentence was handed down. I think what's interesting now is watching what people reveal about themselves afterwards. Because once the decision came in, something strange happened. The loudest defense of Carmelo Anthony didn't just come from activists. It actually came from celebrities, commentators, influencers, and people with platforms. And the response they got wasn't coming from the people you'd expect. It was coming from other Black Americans. Let's check this out.
I sure learned something from this. I learned to tell my sons, if a white boy, do not argue with no white boys. Because, baby, ain't no law protecting you if something goes down with them. That's what I learned from this case. I'm going to tell my sons, if you argue with a white boy, walk the fuck away. Because the law don't protect you when it comes to dealing with.
Now, pay attention to what Cardi B is actually saying here, right? Because this isn't really about Carmelo Anthony. It's about what lesson she's choosing to take away from the situation. The lesson isn't don't pull knives. It isn't don't escalate conflict. Don't put yourself in situations that can destroy your future. The lesson becomes avoid white people because the law won't protect you. That's a completely different conversation. And that's why some people are frustrated, because if every bad outcome gets translated into a racial lesson, then personal decisions disappear from the discussion completely. Eventually, nobody is talking about the behavior anymore. They're only talking about identity. And once that happens, every conversation starts in the wrong place. But Cardi wasn't the only public figure weighing in. What happened next took things from commentary to investment.
Yeah, I'm putting up the 75,000 for the kids' appeal. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just watching a video on that when you called.
Yeah, I'm putting it. They need 150, but I'm putting up 75. But I'm trying to raise $1 million.
Send me the links when you got it.
I will. So I'm finna set up an interview with with the dad and say Cheese TV at a black church with a black pastor who I'm trust, and this will be the mom and dad first time talking. Let me just say this: black people hurt this family.
Yeah. Now we're talking about real money. $75,000, trying to raise $1 million for appeals. He mentioned interviews and basically campaigning. And look, people can spend their money however they want. That's not the point here. The point is what gets elevated, because every society eventually reveals what it rewards. Not what it says, what it rewards. And if somebody's looking at this situation, looking at this situation, sees support, attention, fundraising, interviews, and celebrity backing, what exactly are they supposed to conclude? Because whether people believe it or not, examples teach, not speeches, examples. But somehow, the conversation still wasn't dramatic enough. Because then somebody suggested maybe the solution isn't fixing America, maybe it's leaving.
And I want you to begin to think about this America and the white people problem that we have. I'm going to make a statement. We know that Martin Luther King, the beginning of his work was all about integration. We do know that later on that did change. Integration has had great benefits. I think now, unless you must stay in America, unless you are supposed to be in the USA, otherwise, if you're black, integration has had great benefits. I'm telling you, and I'm saying this as a collective, let's drain this place of its benefits and make our mass exodus and go home and build. I repeat, integration has had great benefits, black people. For some of us, let's drain this place of its benefits and make our mass exodus and go home and build. See, civil rights did not make white people that are infected with whiteness stop being racist. They still raised racist children that run this country to this day. The Civil Rights Act just made social discrimination federally illegal in key areas of American life, housing, voting, and such. It changed what was lawful, what was punishable, and what rights black Americans could legally demand and defend. That's it. And now, those rights At the federal level, there's an attempt to roll them back. Integration has had great benefits. Let's drain this place of its benefits and make our mass exodus and go home and build. This land ain't rich enough to hold who you are. You come from a land that flows with milk and honey. They poured you out of that land ancestrally and brought you to a place to where your royalty was not recognized. Used your black power, your black mysticism, your African spirituality, and your physiological superiority to build this country and give everybody reparations except you. Don't believe that America don't get reparations. They do to the tune of billions. Just never gave it to us. This country was created to rape, pillage black. So unless you got an assignment from spirit or something divine that is telling you to stay here, your duty is to begin charity at home.
It's pretty weird how like the left encourages black people that this isn't our home, but tries to tell immigrants that this is it's almost like we're getting pushed out. Okay. Every few years, this idea comes back. Leave, move, start over somewhere else. And here's the question nobody ever wants to ask. If your problems follow you, did you actually leave the problem? Because geography has never fixed culture. You can move cities, states, countries, continents, but if the same habits travel with you, eventually you'll build the same exact problem somewhere else. That's why successful people focus less on location and more on foundation. And that's the part that usually gets skipped. Now, while all this was happening, something else started happening online too. People who disagree weren't getting debated. They were just getting attacked.
This is an important video because I want you to see how black people who think that Carmelo Anthony should walk free treat black people who believe in our justice system and that this young man committed murder. These are the comments I received in the last 24 hours from them. What kind of dumb white A kisser are you? White people look at you and laugh. Girl, sticking up for them crackers, you're a dumb AB. Don't speak on my cousin. Your ancestors were house slaves. You hate your own. You're a, and they use the raccoon emoji to represent a racial slur, you black B. How dare you try to make Carmelo look like a thug? Maybe if you weren't a high yellow trading B. Some of you dumb A yellow B. But in reality, at the end of the day, you're still a half-breed mulatto N. And the same dumb A crackers that you're defending look at you the same way but expect you their effing puppet. You're not white, sweetheart, never will be, clown emoji, keep tap dancing, racial slur. This is the sad state that left-leaning Black America is in right now. And you're telling me that the number one thing harming Black America is white supremacy? That's a joke.
Yeah. This clip might actually be one of the most important ones in this whole video. Not because of the, racist messages and who sent the messages, but because of what the messages reveal. Notice how quickly people who preach tolerance become incredibly intolerant when somebody disagrees. The second a person steps outside of the approved opinion list, the insults begin, the labels begin, the character attacks begin. Trust me, I lived through this. And the irony is amazing because people claim they're fighting division while creating more of it every single day. You don't build stronger communities by punishing disagreement. You build stronger communities by surviving disagreement. But then Pastor Zoe, he stepped in and took the entire conversation somewhere most people avoid, which is the root.
Carmelo Anthony, you don't see the pictures online. He has guns with him. They call him in the hood Dracos. He's got guns with him. You know why? It's a culture. Killing is a culture. You listen to Politics and Praise with Lorenzo Sewell. Murder is a culture in the hood. I said murder is a culture. You can go anywhere where you see anywhere in the world. Now, this is the cruelest thing. You want to talk about cheated elections? You want to talk about what happens when the devil steals our resources and killing happens? You can go anywhere. This is one of the most saddest things in the world, what I'm about to share with you, but it's the truth. I came up in it. I got shot at when I was 11 years old. I remember I'll never forget it. I remember when going to Columbus Middle School. And I remember when there was just a rumor spread and somebody was like, oh, because we had to fight the 6 Mile Boys. So what happened was this is what happened. So I lived on 14941 Lynette. And when we would walk up up Hayes, and we would walk up Hayes to get to and we would have to fight. And can you imagine? I mean, it was a fight. And, you know, I knew how to box, so I would fight. And somebody told a leader in a local gang who I was up under, told him that I wasn't, like, I didn't fight this guy. And I'm like, why would he say that? And I'll never forget. Not, you know, because you got beat up for that. So I got beat up for it. And then he was like, we're going to go to my uncle's house and we're going to get some guns. And I'm like, get some guns? And you think as a kid, I wouldn't say it because I was scared. And just like some of you are scared to talk about politics, but I'm talking about this is my life. This is really real life. And this is this culture. This came out of California. I'm seeing the evil of California. And what you all don't understand, how the devil is stealing our country right now through California. He's doing it openly. But you don't understand how that matriculates to killing in our community because of poverty. So when I see Karmelo Anthony, I don't see a community that should have any empathy because this is happening everywhere. Karmelo Anthony, you don't see the pictures online. He has guns with him. They call him in the hood Dracos. He's got guns with him. You know why? It's a culture. Killing is a culture. You can take right now today, right now as we speak, if you go to Baltimore, you'll feel like you're in Detroit. You'll feel like you're on the east side of Detroit. When people say the city is coming back, that's the lost and stolen. See, it's lost because it's stolen. Downtown Detroit is lost.
Now, this is where the discussion changes because Pastor Zoe isn't talking about politics. He's talking about environment, culture, what young people see, what they hear, what they normalize, and whether people agree with every word he said or not. He's asking a question worth asking. If violence keeps showing up, at what point do we stop acting surprised? Because eventually every culture produces exactly what it celebrates. And that's true for everybody. Not one race, not one neighborhood, everybody. The things we honor grow. The things we excuse multiply. And then came the clip that honestly explains why this debate has gotten so uncomfortable.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Being black right now is completely embarrassing. You niggas are some of the most vile, inhumane species that have ever graced the earth. For days, I've watched black people jump around like monkeys, act a belligerent fool, act a whole entire nut over a decision that somebody chose to do. And now, y'all are out here harming innocent white people in the name of Karmelo Anthony. You know, I again, as I've said before, I am a Christian woman. And I know that the Lord don't make mistakes. But I just know that he has to look at the nigger population and know that he definitely made a big time mistake with y'all. Since I'm on the road with keeping it real about you niggas, let's keep it real. Y'all with this nigger mentality mindset is holding white people hostage. And you're holding white people hostage for some shit that you did. Because see, you niggas have been violating God. Y'all have been violating God since the biblical time. Y'all have been so disrespectful to the word of God so bad that he put a curse on us. He said that your kids and your kids' kids and their kids are going to feel the effects of your disrespectfulness. And it's so crazy because to this very day, y'all still continue to defy God. We are the reasons that we are at the bottom of the totem pole. No other race is responsible for why we are here. Same behavior that's happening now was the same behavior that happened back then. And because of that, we are still reaping what we sow behind it. We put our own self in bondage. We put our own selves in captivity. All because of our stupidity. It's all because of the bad behavior. What do we say? We know when a person has learned their lesson through changed behavior. And the behavior is still the same. We have not learned nothing. Because we have learned nothing, we are continuing to rot as a nation of people. That is why I'm so grateful that God has separated me from the majority of you niggas. And I know a lot of y'all don't like when I use the term nigga. But you have to understand that this is a subset of black people. It's not all of us. It is a subset of us that displays this animalistic behavior that make y'all think that we as a people, that we all act like that and we don't. And I hate to say it, but until the mindset of black people change, this Karmelo Anthony case is going to be a continual thing. Black kids will continue to die. While this case is closed, the headlines will still continue. We are always the usual suspects and common denominators in everything. And until that changes, we're going to expect more funerals on the horizon because y'all don't believe in change. Y'all not going to change the problem. And it's just going to be a continual cycle. So let's just be prepared to see more Karmelo Anthonys in the future. Y'all be blessed.
Now, agree or disagree with the language or not, notice what makes this clip hit so hard. It's not because she's yelling. I don't think she's yelling at all, actually. It's because she's removing escape routes. That's why accountability conversations make people uncomfortable, because accountability doesn't give you anybody else to point at. No celebrity, no politician, no party, no system, no historical villain. It starts with the mirror. And unfortunately, mirrors are brutal. They don't argue. They don't negotiate. They don't care how you feel. They just show us what's there. And whether somebody agrees with every word she said or not, like I said, that's why this clip is spreading. People recognize something, not perfection, not agreement, recognition. Because deep down, most people understand that every community eventually has to decide whether it wants explanations or improvement. And those are not always the same thing. You know, the biggest surprise in this entire story wasn't even Cardi B. It wasn't even Charleston White. It wasn't the funding. It wasn't the outrage. It wasn't even a verdict. The surprise was how many black voices stepped forward and said, hold on. Before we blame everybody else, can we at least have an honest conversation with ourselves? And I think that's the part nobody expected. And honestly, I'm sorry, this may end up being the most important conversation that came out of this entire case. So if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to comment the word mirror. But I also want to acknowledge that recently a friend of mine lost a brother. And I want to say I really appreciate you guys and y'all support. I know a lot of you was asking me for the GoFundMe link to, show your support. I will have that in the pinned comment and in the description. And on that note, y'all be safe. Please go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.